Hello and welcome to lesson 1 of week 22. In this lesson, we are going to look at the Jinja template, and then we're going to look at how to create template files and how to inherit from a common file. My name is Mildred. So previously we've looked at how to create a Flask app, how to activate our environment, how to start running our development server. So as we have said before, for us to activate on a MacBook, we are going to call the name of the environment venv-bin/activate. So refer to your week 20 resource to see how you do this on Windows. And once activated, you will have the name of your virtual environment here. Now that we have done this, the next thing we want to do is to start our development server. So one thing I have not showed you is how to keep it reloaded whenever there is a change to the template, instead of stopping and starting all over again. So for us to keep it reloaded, let us have Flask app, and the name of our app, let's say we want to be loading from index.py, and we want to use the debug run. So this will start the server, and every time we make a change to the page, it is going to auto load that page. So now we have loaded this. We don't have any index file, but on the page we already put a template called index, so we are going to discuss this. Now before this class, I have prepared these files. I have a style sheet, and since this is not a front-end course, I will just provide the codes for anything front-end related, and we are going to deal with just the knowledge of the back-end. So I have my style.css for my style sheet in the static folder. In my template file, in the last lesson, we did a login template. Now we want to create an index template. Let's say we want to run an index page, index.html. I've already created the route here. So when a user comes to the home page, the user is welcomed by an index page that is run from this template. So we want to create a template called index. Now in this index page, we want to illustrate how we use Jinja. The basic structure of an HTML5 document is to start with a doc type declaration. So we're going to do that. And then we want to put the HTML tag. Here we can actually define a document language to just be let's say English, and then we close HTML. We know that it is between the start and end HTML tag that we put the head area and the body area. So let's say this is the head and this is the body. So if you look at the extra lessons for last week, we have lessons from front end that just explains the basic structure of an HTML document, and also introduce cascading style sheets so that you can get a good head start on the templates that we are designing. So this is the basic skeletal structure. Every of your HTML page will have all of these declarations. So we have the head, we have the body. In the head area, we put the style sheet, the title of the page. When we use Jinja, we write expressions, or we write statements using a curly brace like this, and then we use the %sign, or between the start and end %sign, we're going to put in our statement. Now what we do is to use blocks. We can define a block and give it a name. So we want to start a block, and we want this block to be called block head, and then we want to come here, do the same thing to end the block head. To make it less confusing, you want to specify what block you're ending. If you want, you can just end block or end block at the name of the block you're ending. So this is the syntax. We want to have a head block like this, and within this block head, we want to put in, let's say, a link to our style sheet, and we use the link tag like this. So if you watch last week lessons with the extra videos, you will know how to include all of this. So this is how we include a style sheet, and we use the href attribute to get a link to the style. And then we want to have a title, and for the title, let's use, I'm going to close this. For the title, we use block title, and then we end block title, and then we close this. Now I want to have between the block my title. So let's say the title here is index page, then I end block, and then I end block head. So now I know which block is ending because I try to name them. So block head, and between the head block, we want to have the title block within it, and we want to have the link to the style sheet. Now in the body area, so for this, I'm going to just add my index page here as a title, and I'll tell you why this is used this way. So normally we have a base template that has all of these common codes that all pages should have, and that base template is going to now be used by other child templates. So let's say we are creating this as the index page first, and then we're going to visit how we can group common files and change this whole file so that we can inherit from a base. So what we have done here is to put everything we need in the head area of the page. We have used the block head, and within it we have a title. So if you go to last week's lessons, you will find out how we structure a HTML page, know the basic HTML tags for you to understand this better. Now in the body area, we want to have, let's say we want to use a div tag, and the div is just a container, we know that already. So I'll create a div tag here and I'll end div. The reason I close after I open is just so that we don't forget to close tags, or we don't get confused or get the whole thing messy. Within this tag, let's say I want to have a block called content and I want to end the block content. So within this block content, I want to put whatever it is that I want this to hold as the content of the page. And then I can have another one at the body here to say this is the block called footer, and let's use div. And the reason is so that we can apply styles. So in front-end development, we looked at the different layout elements for HTML that we'll use later, but this is just to show you how we can use Jinja to create templates, and I'm going to really explain this when I'm done writing it. So we'll have a footer block, and let's say for the footer, we have started the block footer, we end it, and we know that we use ampersand copy like this to put a copyright symbol, and then I want to put the date and the name of my website, let's say Google. So let's go over this again. So whenever we want to write statements in Jinja, we use curly braces and the percent sign, and the outer curly brace is just like the print statement, and what it does is that it renders things to the output. Now we have the head area, and within the head area we define a block. The reason we use block is so that we can actually write to it or overwrite it when this is a base and we want to inherit from this, or if the event this become a parent template, we want to use a child template to override what is within this block. So we have a style sheet and we have the title. When we have this block here, we can change this title on other pages in the event that this is appearing. We have the body, and in the body we define two parts, the content area and then the footer area. So what you need to know to remember how to do this is the basic HTML template, the basic HTML code, and anywhere you think you might make changes, that you want to make it like a variable in the future, you use blocks like this. So you can have several blocks in the page, just name them and don't get confused. So let's go back and reload our page to see if this is actually working right. So now we have an index file, it's still not loading, and the reason is this date that we have here. So let me remove this, because for now we can't get into this now, it makes it more complex. So let's say we just want to write copyright, and we'll write 2023 by, and let's use the anchor tag to put something like a text that they will read and then click. So let's make this a text that they will read. I'm going to end anchor here, and then I'm going to use the href attribute here, and then I'll specify a link that will be redirected to like that. So we'll go back to our page, we reload, and if all is well, it should work. So we have just a copyright symbol, and when we click on it, it goes to the site that we want it to go to. So they say the address is invalid, and that's because it is not HTTPS like this. And so you can see that our page automatically reloads, code automatically reloads on the browser because of the way that we started the app in debug mode. So this is like the basic way to do or to use Jinja. Let's recap again. We create a basic HTML template, and in every part where we want to define something like a variable, we just use blocks. We define a block within curly brace, and then we put a percent sign. You leave a space, start and end like this. Every block you have, you want to name them and you want to end the block, and it's within the start and end block that you put in whatever you want that block to hold. Notice that in this part I did not put anything within the block or anything to be displayed. In this part I put something to be displayed. Now let's assume that we want to create a common template that we want all other pages to inherit from. So let's say I will create a new template now, and I'll call this template base.html, and in this base I'm going to paste everything that I have on my index page. But right now I am not going to put in any text between any of the blocks or within any of the blocks apart from the footer block, because we want this footer to be part of all the pages. We have this as the base, which means that the index template is going to change. How do we change that? When we have a place where we can inherit all our codes from. So we do that by saying we want to inherit from the base file, and we use this like this and a %sign and put a space, and then we'll say extend like this, and we're extending from where? Base.html. So as long as you have your templates folder and your static folder, you don't have to bother about file referencing, because by default this is where Flask is going to look for templates and for static files. So we have the base inherited here, and so whatever is there is what we are going to use. We can also get the title block now, and we want to replace what is going to be in the title. So we're going to say our curly brace, our %sign, and then I'm going to put block title, which is the first thing we want to replace. And in this title block, we want to put something like home. Let's say home. Let's say Mildred Consultancy Services Limited, like this. And then we want to end block title. Now, from the base file also, we want to get what is going to be in the content area. So here we are going to come and we are going to get the head block first. So we replace what is going to be in the title. We want to inherit every other thing from the head, which is the style sheet. And if you want to do that, you call block head, because we have a style sheet in the head. So you can do this either before the title or after, it doesn't matter, but we have the head there. So look at it, we have the head here, and within this head we have the style sheet. So the only thing we want to replace is the title. We want to inherit every other thing in the head. So in the event we have the meta tags and all and the likes, we just want to inherit it here. So here we'll say block head, and what we want to do with the block head is to use something we called expression, and expressions are written with double like this, and you put super within it. So we use double curly brace, and within the double curly brace you just call super, which means that we're inheriting every other thing within the head block, and then we end block head like this. And if you want to add something new, you do that just after you've done your super like this. So we end block head. We want to start the content block, and within the content, let's say we have a heading that says welcome to School of Programming and Software Development, and then we'll have, let's say, a paragraph that just says something like testing the content area, and we close P, and then we end block content, and then we'll do block footer, and then we're going to use super to inherit everything within the footer block, and we are done. So now we are now using a base template, and we are filling it in the child template. So for every new page, let's say we have an about page, we're going to do exactly the same thing, and the contents that will keep changing is the title content, and then we're going to be changing what is within the content. If we want to add new things to the head area, like a script, and most of the time I prefer to add my scripts at the bottom of the page instead of at the top, so it will be at the end of the body area, but this is where you add them, so you get the whole idea. So it might not make so much sense, but practice, constant practice will help you. And so when we save this and we go back to our web page and we refresh, we have the index page now changed, because we have used the base to create all of this. Every time we do something or we create new templates, we always have to remember our index.py page, and we have to make sure we create the route that binds that route to the function that we want to run. And all the functions we are running is rendering a template that holds the page that we want to display. So this is as basic as it gets. In the next lesson, we'll start moving into more complexities by trying to build a login register system. Thank you, and see you in the next lesson.